Velazquez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, this hearing could not come at a better time, as the House unfortunately just passed FY16 HUD spending bill, which, if enacted, will severely underfund virtually every HUD program and jeopardize the housing stability of vulnerable Americans. The shortage of affordable rental housing is a huge problem in New York, and a new analysis released this week brought the severity of the problem home. Between 2002 and 2014, rents in New York City rose by 32% citywide, even after the effects of inflation were removed. My question is, Mr. Secretary, what will happen to working families, like in New York City, if we do not have public housing? In New York City, we have 615,000 people who live in public housing and Section 8. These are hardworking people, and if we don't provide that type of resources, where will they go? And people, you know, I don't suffer from multiple personalities. I understand that if we want to tackle the issue of poverty, it takes investment. That if we want to tackle the issue of homelessness among veterans, it takes the role of the federal government. And by the way, I am proud to report that in New York City, the number of homeless veterans in New York dropped by 40% last year and declined 75% since 2012. Why? Because of vouchers and homeless assistance grants, and because the city is putting also resources. That's what it takes. And so we want to tackle the issue of poverty in our country, and then we ask about what is it that HUD can show about to demonstrate the effectiveness of the agency. It takes investment and the understanding that for the last 20 years, there is one issue that really is impacting Americans. They're working harder, they're working 2 and 3 jobs, but there's one thing, and that is wage stagnation. While the 1% is doing extremely well, the rest, 99%, are working harder and getting less. So, Mr. Secretary, if the HUD funding bill that passed the House, if enacted, how will this impact HUD's efforts to address the affordable housing crisis?
If the HUD bill becomes law, it will seriously injure, seriously damage our ability to meet the needs out there. As it is, as I mentioned earlier, we only serve 1 in 4 people right now who qualify for HUD services. And a couple of weeks ago, Chairman Luetkemeyer had at his subcommittee a group of individuals to discuss public-private partnerships, which I think is a very fruitful discussion that ought to be had. It was very clear in that testimony, whether it was the nonprofit sector, public sector, or private sector, that said, if HUD doesn't do these things, who else is going to do them? There is no private market to serve people who are extremely low income. And those are the vast majority of the people that we serve. And so whether it's traditional public housing or Section 8 vouchers or project-based rental assistance, we need to make an investment. If we don't, what it means is more people out on the street, more mothers with children that are homeless or doubling up, more veterans who don't have the chance to have a place to call home. Those are the human consequences of the budgetary decisions that are on the table.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, I would like to ask you about Section 3. I've been working on Section 3 for many, many years. Sure. When Secretary Donovan was there, I introduced legislation, and I'm happy to see that some of the provisions that were contained in my legislation are being reflected in the rule that you are putting out. But my question is, If there is a tool that could empower residents in public housing, it's Section 3. Without the proper oversight and without the proper training and investment, it's not going to work.
Thank you for that.
Time.